What if I told you some of the best RPGs you could play in 2025 aren't shiny new releases, but isometric gems you might have skipped? These games mix deep stories, brutal choices, and tactical combat that'll melt your brain faster than your GPU on ultra settings. Some are classics reborn, others hidden monsters waiting to ruin your free time. Today, we're diving into 10 isometric RPGs you need to play this year. Let's see how many you actually know.
I am not.
You know a game's not messing around when the first thing it asks you to do is hunt down the dictator's kids, alive or dead. Your choice. That's Wasteland 3 in a nutshell. A frozen apocalypse full of dark humor, brutal choices, and just enough absurdity to keep you grinning while your squad bleeds out in the snow. You land in Colorado as Team November, desert rangers sent to cut a deal with the patriarch, Saul Buchanan. He promises supplies for Arizona if you bring his 3 out-of-control children to heal. Simple job, except every faction here is weirder than the last. There's a Reagan-worshipping cult led by an AI version of the Gipper-in-Chief, clown gangs who literally weaponize laughter, and cannibals dressed like they walked out of a Fallout cosplay convention. And every choice, like who you help, who you betray, who you just blow up and loot, reshapes the story. Combat sticks close to the XCOM formula, but with its own nasty twists. Action points drive everything, like move, shoot, set an ambush, or hunker down. Build up your strike meter and you unlock precision strikes, which are aimed shots that can blind, cripple, or just blow someone's head off for style points. Environmental hazards make fights even nastier. Freeze enemies solid, shock them in puddles, or watch your squad fry if you're sloppy. And if you crank up the difficulty to Supreme Jerk, friendly fire suddenly matters a lot more than you'd like. Outside combat, the management layer gives the game real weight. You recruit staff, upgrade facilities, and deal with problems like prisoners, doctors, and supply shortages. Your armored vehicle, the Kodiak, isn't just for travel either. It can be upgraded with guns, plating, even an AI personality that insults you mid-battle while vaporizing raiders. Progression runs deep. 7 attributes, skill trees like lockpicking, weird science, or animal whisperer. Yes, you can turn a cyborg chicken army into a thing, and perks that completely change how fights play out. Mods are permanent, so one bad decision can haunt you until the end. Every upgrade, every ally, every sarcastic dialogue option shifts your path. Sometimes that path leads to glory. Sometimes it leads to a flaming toaster academy. Either way, the apocalypse has never been this entertaining.
Tactical stealth game. In this prequel to the beloved...
If you think tactics games are slow and predictable, Desperados 3 is here to slap that thought right out of your head. This isn't about waiting for dice rolls or watching health bars tick down. It's about pulling off the perfect plan under pressure, where one mistake means alarms, reinforcements, and a pile of corpses you didn't intend to leave behind. The setup is pure Western grit. You follow John Cooper hunting down a ruthless outlaw named Frank, crossing railroads, swamps, and dusty border towns. It's a prequel to the original Desperados, so you're basically watching Cooper's legend take shape. But the story never overshadows what you're really here for: orchestrating chaos with style. Every mission throws you into enemy territory with 5 very different outlaws. Cooper flips coins to distract guards, chains knife throws, and even lines up double headshots. Hector is the heavy, packing a shotgun, laying down Bianca, which is his bear trap, and whistling idiots right into it. Doc McCoy is your creepy surgeon with a sniper pistol, knockout gas, and a bag trap that lures fools like moths to a flame. Kate plays the spy, slipping into disguises to distract enemies with perfume or sweet talk, though long coats and dogs aren't buying it. And then there's Isabel, the wild card. Mind control, voodoo links that let you kill 2 enemies at once, and a cat named Stella, who's way better at distracting guards than you'll ever be. The brilliance is how these tools combine. You're constantly juggling sight cones, footprints in mud, and enemies who won't fall for cheap tricks. Ponchos ignore distractions. Long coats laugh at most attacks unless Hector deals with them. And dogs will shred your perfect disguise in seconds. That's why the showdown mode matters. It lets you cue actions across your whole team. pulling off synchronized takedowns that feel like a heist movie. Unless you're on Desperado difficulty, where the game casually removes the pause button, because why not crank the stress to 11? There's no XP grind, no upgrade trees, no base management. The progression is you getting better, pulling cleaner runs, replaying missions for badges like Ghost the Whole Map or Speedrun in 15 minutes. And if that's not enough, the Baron's challenges remix levels with brutal restrictions just to test your sanity.
Take him out from here. Better throw a knife. Kid. Need sharpening. Thing, the quick and a dare for you.
Achilles' Legends Untold doesn't open with a prophecy or a magic sword. It opens with you dead on the battlefield of Troy and waking up in a broken Greece where gods play dice with mortals. You're Achilles, the guy who should have been remembered for glory, now stuck in Hades' schemes, with divine politics and old rivals waiting around every corner. Not exactly the retirement package you signed up for. Combat is where the game tries to earn its stripes. It looks like a Diablo-style ARPG, but the feel is way more Souls-like. Every swing, block, or dodge burns stamina, and death sends you back to shrines where you heal, fast travel, respec, and of course, respawn every enemy you just killed. Lose your XP on death? Yep, you've got to corpse run it back. Add in parries, different weapon types, and even a shield throw that doubles as both a weapon and a puzzle solver, and you start to see the mix. Progression leans heavy on a Constellation-style skill tree. It's huge, messy, and a little confusing, but it lets you branch into new abilities, stats, and parry skills. Shrines act as your hub for upgrades, while rifts reward you with extra skill points. Gear isn't static either. Hephaestus's Forge lets you upgrade weapons and armor up to level 15 as he drifts through the story. On top of that, you can craft oils for damage boosts, lay traps, and experiment with consumables to tip the odds. Outside of combat, there is some light tinkering like crafting, forging, and co-op challenges with their own rewards. The game even rewards you for petting cats. Seriously. Choices matter in smaller ways too. When facing certain human bosses, you can kill or spare them. Usually, killing nets you a weapon or shield, while sparing grants new skills. It's a clever way to force you to think beyond the next loot drop. It's not perfect. The camera pulls too far back, combat rhythm can feel inconsistent, and the UI is clunky. But when it clicks, it nails that mix of Souls-like tension and mythological spectacle. Diablo 2 Resurrected doesn't try to reinvent the wheel. It reforges it in steel and polishes it until it blinds you. Flip between the 2000 pixel mush and today's 4K detail, and you'll see exactly what I mean. It's the same game, just sharper, darker, and meaner. The premise? You're chasing the Dark Wanderer across 5 acts of Sanctuary, from plague-ridden deserts to the frozen peaks of Mount Ariad, trying to stop Diablo and his brothers before Baal corrupts the World Stone. It's gothic, grim, and surprisingly timeless. And unlike modern ARPGs that dump exposition on you, here the story is delivered in moody cinematics and atmosphere that do most of the talking. Gameplay is where the old-school teeth show. 7 classes each with 3 distinct skill trees. You build it all manually. Stats, skills, gear, and mistakes stick unless you burn one of your precious respecs. Every hit point matters. Every socketed gem or rune can change the flow of combat, and rune words, in particular, are crack for min-maxers. Combine the right sequence and suddenly your mediocre gear turns into god-tier loot. Difficulty scaling is brutal. Normal feels fair, Nightmare slaps you with resistance penalties, and hell is exactly that. Enemies aren't just sponges, they're immune. If you don't plan around breakpoints or grab the right charms, you're toast. That's why mercenaries are more than meat shields. Act 2 hirelings with aura support can literally make or break your build. Resurrected isn't stuck in 2000 though. Shared stash, auto gold pickup, quick cast hotkeys, and controller support bring sanity to the grind. Later patches added terror zones, which are rotating high-level areas for farming, and sunder charms, which let you crack immunities at the cost of gimping your own resistances. It's a delicious trade-off that keeps veterans experimenting. Oh, and yes, Uber Tristram and Diablo Clone are still here, now even doable offline. Is it newcomer-friendly? Not really. Diablo 2 was always about pain and persistence. But if you want to see where the ARPG genre sharpened its claws, or you're a veteran looking to lose another 100 hours to rune hunting, Diablo 2 Resurrected is as faithful as remasters get. Warsaw, 1905. The streets are suffocating under Russian boots, revolution whispers from every corner, and in the middle of it all, you're a man who can literally rip open someone's flaws and use them against them. That's the Thaumaturge, part RPG, part occult detective story, and part social chess match where the pieces are people's darkest weaknesses. You play as Viktor Sulski, a thaumaturge dragged back to his city after his father's death, only to find himself tangled with Rasputin, political upheaval, and his own personal flaw, pride. It's not just flavor text. Pride actually shapes Victor's path, opens and closes choices, and can even push you into endings you didn't plan. And that sense of consequence runs through the whole game. The hook isn't just the story, it's the saluters. These are spirits tied to human failings, like recklessness or obsession. And they're your Swiss Army knife. In combat, you pair Victor with one saluter at a time, playing on a turn order timeline where planning is everything. Wear down enemy focus, break their rhythm, then smash them with heavy attacks. It's clean, tactical, but if you're looking for endless boss variety, yeah, repetition creeps in. Outside of fights, saluters let you manipulate people directly. Spot someone's crack in their armor, send the right saluter, and suddenly that guard is spilling secrets, or that aristocrat folds in a negotiation. It feels more like psychological warfare than dialogue options. Your growth runs through 4 dimensions: heart, mind, deed, and word. Pour points into them and you're not just stronger in combat, you're sharper in conversations and investigations too. But here's the catch. Tiers only unlock when you bind new saluters, which pushes you to hunt them down instead of tunneling one build. There are 8 total, half tied to the story and half hidden if you're thorough. At around 20 hours with multiple branching paths and up to a dozen endings, the Thaumaturge isn't about grinding. It's about choices, flaws, and how far you're willing to bend people to your will. If you're having fun so far, drop a like and let me know in the comments what you'd love to see in the next video. Yep, this is part of a full series, and I'm leaving the playlist link down in the description and in the card at the end, so don't miss it. Your comments give the algorithm a reason to keep this channel breathing, and yes, I really do check and reply to every single one. And if you haven't subscribed yet, come on, don't let your buddy Sage wander the YouTube wilderness alone. Hit that sub button and stick around. We're dropping new videos every single day, and you won't want to miss what's coming next. What if a strategy game ditched the whole empire builder thing and just handed you a magical tower that can literally walk around the map? That's Spellforce Conquest of EO, and it flips the 4X formula into something leaner, faster, and surprisingly addictive. You start as the apprentice of a dead master, inheriting his tower and his enemies. The world isn't static. It's a procedural sandbox stuffed with quests, rival mages, and a circle of magi who'd rather see you buried than crowned. To win, you don't just conquer the map, you chase one of several victory paths, mastering magic, claiming ancient landmarks, or simply crushing your peers until no one's left to challenge you. Armies are small, 5 to 10 units at most, and every fight plays out on a hex grid. What makes it sing is the action economy. Units spend AP on attacks and moves, but counterattacks also drain AP. That means you can bait enemies into wasting their turns, then flank and punish them when they're wide open. Positioning matters more than raw numbers, and resistances and status effects push you to think a few moves ahead. Outside of battle, your tower is everything. Build new rooms, unlock grimoires, and expand your domain by planting lodges or teleporting the tower itself to hoover up resources. Workers pull in ore, herbs, and magical ingredients, which fuel the three big archetypes. Alchemists cook up consumables and seals. Artificers forge weapons and constructs. And necromancers build armies of undead nightmares. Each path feels distinct, and mixing them with different schools of magic like death, nature, or enchantment shakes up the playstyle. Instead of micromanaging dozens of cities, you're forging packs, recruiting from towns, and solving quests scattered across the map. It's more about narrative flavor and personal power than empire spreadsheets, which keeps the pace brisk. And with expansions adding things like demon packs, dream magic, dark elves, and even lunar phases that alter the world, the game's toolbox keeps growing. It's not flawless. No voice acting, lots of reading, and it won't give you the sprawling drama of a Civilization campaign. But if you want a strategy RPG where moving your tower feels as impactful as winning a battle, this one carves its own niche.
The infected hear the voice of the Absolute and believe it to be a god.
Baldur's Gate 3 doesn't wait for you to feel comfortable. It throws you into a mind flayer ship with a parasite wriggling behind your eyes and says, "Figure it out." From that moment, every choice, every dice roll, and every shove off a cliff is yours to own. Combat plays out in turn-based chunks lifted straight from D&D 5th edition, but Larian twisted the rules just enough to make them sing in a video game. You've got actions, bonus actions, movement, and reactions that actually matter. And yes, you can toggle them so the game politely asks before blowing your one shield spell. Terrain is just as important as your stats. Oil burns, water electrifies, high ground gives you that sweet edge, and nothing beats the comedy of tossing an armored thug into a bottomless pit. Outside of fights, the game breathes through its camp. Long rests cost supplies. Miss them? And you're left half-baked, trudging through encounters with tired spell slots. Companions don't just sit around either. They argue, flirt, and judge you depending on how much they approve of your antics. Romance is here, sure, but so are betrayals, moral dilemmas, and the occasional bear scene that broke the internet. Progression hits a sweet spot. You level up to 12, dip into multi-classing, and respect whenever withers your creepy camp skeleton feels like taking your gold. Gear isn't just stat bumps. Weapons bleed enemies. Armor changes your playstyle, and crafting through alchemy or the adamantine forge spits out toys worth chasing. And then there are the illithid powers. You can eat tadpoles to unlock psionic abilities that make you terrifyingly strong, if you don't mind your friends recoiling in disgust. Baldur's Gate 3 isn't trying to be the biggest RPG ever, but somewhere along the way it got dangerously close to being the best.
Entering Cluster 13. Behave.
You ever wanted to see what happens when the biggest corporation in the galaxy just collapses overnight? That's the Ascent in a nutshell. One minute you're another indentured worker keeping the mega arcology running. The next, you're knee-deep in riots, gang wars, and corporations tearing each other apart while you try not to get minced in the crossfire. Welcome to Vils. Shiny neon on the outside, pure corporate rot on the inside. The game sells itself on its combat loop. Yeah, it's a twin-stick shooter, but with one nasty twist. Aiming low keeps you mobile. Aiming high lets you shoot over cover and stagger enemies. That simple flip makes fights way more tactical than spray and pray. Add in grenades, drones, and those flashy tactical abilities, and suddenly every encounter feels like a bar fight with plasma rifles. Oh, and enemies aren't bullet sponges. They've got weaknesses. Flesh hates ballistics, robots hate energy, and fire just makes everything panic. You either exploit those gaps or get shredded. Leveling feeds into 4 core attributes: cybernetics, motorics, frame, and biometrics, each tied to combat skills. Every level drops 3 points, and you can respec at the grafter if you regret your choices. Then you've got augmentations and modules, which are cyberware that rewires your playstyle. Want a shockwave punch? Go for it. Prefer summoning spider bots? That's on the table. And don't sleep on the gunsmith. Every weapon can be pushed through multiple tiers with components, and those upgrades carry across all copies of that weapon. Outside of combat, Veles feels really alive. You're hacking ATMs, doors, and turrets with your cyberdeck, cashing in bounties at the bar, and hopping between levels of the arcology with taxis or the metro. It's not just window dressing. It makes the world feel like a real disgusting place to live in. And yes, you can absolutely spend half your paycheck just riding the taxi instead of walking through a gang-controlled zone. It's not perfect. At launch, the map was a nightmare. Difficulty spikes were brutal, and bugs were everywhere. But patches smoothed a lot of that out, adding things like Transmog, New Game Plus, and even melee weapons in the Cyber Heist DLC. For a game made by 12 people, it's ridiculous how detailed this city looks. What if the legend of King Arthur wasn't about shining knights and destiny, but about betrayal, corruption, and a kingdom rotting from the inside out? That's the pitch of King Arthur Knight's Tale. And instead of Arthur, you're Mordred, dragged back from death by the Lady of the Lake to put the corrupted king down once and for all. Every fight plays out on grids where each hero gets a pool of action points to burn on movement, skills, or items. The catch? Position and facing matter. Turn your back and you're begging for a stab. Hide a vanguard in stealth and watch them shred enemies with backstabs. Or line up your marksman or arcanist and abuse cover and angles to control the field. It's a system that rewards planning, punishes sloppy moves, and never leans on dice rolls to decide your fate. But survival goes deeper than hit points. Here, damage eats into vitality, a second health bar that leaves scars and permanent injuries. Lose too much of it and your knight isn't just limping, they might be dead for good. Sure, there's a rare Tome of Resurrection, but most of the time death is final. And that's where Camelot comes in. It's not just your base, it's the management layer. Healing wounds in the hospice, training rookies in the grounds, dismantling relics into dust and buying new ones in the Enchanted Tower, or sending knights on events through the round table that can sideline them for one or more missions. Ignore this layer and you'll quickly run out of soldiers to throw at the battlefield. And then there's the morality system. 2 axes, righteous or tyrant, Christian or old faith shape who follows you, what skills unlock, and how loyal your crew stays. Push too far in a direction and some knights will walk out, and others will love you enough to fight harder, literally gaining bonuses in battle. The game doesn't end with the campaign either. Skirmish maps, seasonal challenges, and even a full Roman-themed expansion keep piling on content. Most RPGs let you swing a sword until the end of time, but the Iron Oath doesn't. It makes time your deadliest enemy. Your mercenaries age, get tired, break bones, and eventually retire. Cities fall, kingdoms rise, and your company either adapts or crumbles with the world. It's a brutal reminder that you're not running heroes, you're running a business where steel, gold, and loyalty are constantly on the edge of collapse. The setup is classic fantasy on paper. You're the leader of a mercenary band in Kylum, betrayed and left for dead, chasing vengeance while the world around you shifts. But the trick is, Kylum won't sit still. Years pass, factions clash, and entire cities can be conquered or destroyed. That fortress you ignored early on might not even exist when you come back. It makes every contract feel like it matters. Battles play out on hex grids with a simple formula: move and act. But simple ends the second you realize terrain can be destroyed. Traps punish sloppy steps, and one bad position can wipe your squad. Each class has a distinct rhythm. Pyrolancers burn the map down, Stormcallers control with lightning, Guardians soak blows, and Valkyries dive bomb like medieval jet fighters. The mix forces you to think in combos, not just individual turns. Outside the battlefield, management is half the game. Your mercs expect paychecks. Ignore them, and they walk. They have quirks, loyalties, and personal values that can clash with your choices, and even logistics matter. Before diving into a dungeon, you buy supplies, plan rests, and pray the fatigue clock doesn't bury you with penalties. There's a constant push-pull between squeezing every coin and keeping your crew alive long enough to spend it. Veterans can mentor rookies, passing down traits or even their essence when they retire. Gear includes legendary relics, skill trees branch into specialized builds, and your company grows with renown upgrades like extra supplies, better training, and more ways to cheat death. If you're still with me, the link to the playlist is popping up in the card right now. This video is part of a full series, and trust me, they're packed with even more amazing picks you'll definitely want on your radar. And hey, don't forget to support your buddy Sage by subscribing to the channel and leaving a comment on each video. It keeps the algorithm happy, and honestly, it's the digital equivalent of tossing me a high five.